Welcome, everyone, back to Beyond the Beeps. This is an extraordinarily special episode because I am joined here by Miss Christina Matthew, and we are in a different location. If you're watching us on YouTube and you're probably listening, we sound a little different. It's because we're joining you from an actual NICU. Today is a very special day for Christina and her son, Caleb, as today is discharge day. And we never get a chance to talk with parents when they're literally about to leave. And discharge is so on your top of mind, right? And so I wanted to bring you in, particularly now, to talk a little bit about discharge, but also I've been very fortunate to know you and Caleb and Modeste and Chloe and Christian and the family now for, oh gosh, how many? 4 months. 4 months, right? And so there's something very, very special about you and your family, and in many ways. But one thing that really rings true from start to finish is your faith. And so I wanted to give our world out there, our Beyond the Beeps community, the incubator folks, also an opportunity to meet you and to hear from you, because I think you have a very powerful impact on us and will for the world too. So welcome to Beyond Beeps, Christina Matthew.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's truly an honor to be here, especially at the end of our NICU journey on discharge day. And so to the whole Beyond the Beats community, hello, and look forward to chatting with you. Thank you, Leah.
Yeah. So let's start with Caleb, but I know the story of Caleb doesn't necessarily get Caleb. So let's start with your NICU story.
Yes. So I um actually ended up going into preterm labor. Um, and there was actually a watch at 24 weeks. And so I thought that we were going to be able to hold out. The doctor said, "Hey, we want to make sure we can get to as close to, about 34 weeks as possible. Let's make sure we can optimize, labor and delivery." But Caleb had other plans. And so at 26 weeks, I actually went into labor with Caleb. And so that was May 26th, and that's when our NICU journey started.
Okay. So 26 weeks, a little guy, and he came into the world pretty heartily, though, I recall. Like, was pretty ready for taking us all on.
Very feisty. Um, and so you mentioned like my journey, so I'm gonna step back. Um, I think when we first kind of heard preterm labor, as term, it was already going through my mind, my husband's mind, that okay, wait, it's very early, uh, and we don't know what the outcome will be having a baby this early. Um, and also for me, because faith is very huge, and like, God, is this your plan?
Hmm.
Um, and although I believe God's plans are always perfect, they are not always easy to walk through. And so for me, it was really positioning myself and our family to be able to take this walk with faith being forward
Okay.
and keeping fear kind of on the peripheral, because I couldn't put it all the way behind me. That would not be true, because there's so many concerns and just things that we don't know, but really saying, okay, fear, move to the side. I cannot have you in front of me.
Hmm.
And so it took us starting the journey with a lot of prayer, and with a lot of just positioning, saying, okay, God, we trust you. We don't believe that Caleb is here just to be here in this moment. We're going to proclaim that he's going to come home. And not only is he going to come home, he's going to come home a healthy baby. So we stood on that.
Okay.
And so the journey began. Um,
Yeah. How did you said you pushed fear to the side, and um, was it through that making that intention, sort of proclaiming that, like, this is what we're going to put out, or were there other things that you did that helped you to be able to push that fear aside? And while it was still there, you never ignored it. It was like, I see you, fear, but not today, right? We're going to lead this way. What were things that you did to help?
So the first thing is coming into the NICU environment. It was a first for me. So meaning I don't have friends or family who I know who have had a NICU experience that have been extensive. Maybe a couple of days just to check a few things. But in terms of giving birth as early as 26 weeks and then walking the journey out, I myself and my husband, we were not aware of anyone. So we didn't have close proximity. And so coming into the NICU is already daunting.
Mm.
And so it was number one, when you come in and there's already a fear of, oh my God, where am I? Look at the babies around. There's so much going on. Look at all the noise, listen to all the noise. Like,
Yeah.
and seeing Caleb for the first time, um, it was definitely an experience where I was very much so like, I need to catch my breath several times. Uh, and I need somebody to hold my hand and reinforce and confirm this is your baby. You are his mother. You can touch your baby.
Hmm.
You don't have to be hands off. There's just a lot of things you don't know. I was like, I don't wanna, put him at risk for anything. I don't wanna, transfer anything. And so it really took the nurses here. There's a nurse here, Miss Shirley. She accepted my husband and I, and she said, "This is your baby." She took my husband's hand and she said, "Do this to your baby. You can hold on to your finger."
Grab your finger.
Yes. And my husband did it, and it was like, wow, that's our baby. And so, step by step, I think it was us looking at the people around us who have experience in the NICU to actually help us walk through the NICU experience that actually also helped us push fear to the side. Because the more that we knew, the more that we learned each day that came along, that we got more information, we felt more empowered. And so I think the faith piece is core and central. And it also took us learning how do we move here? What's going on? Because in the beginning we did feel a little powerless. Now I feel quite powerful.
Yeah.
Like now I could run circles in this NICU and I feel great, but it took a lot of work.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that work is it's something we take for granted in parenting in general, like, because I think it's been sold to us a lot that it's natural parenting is, it comes naturally, and when you're put in such an kind of an artificial place, it's even more unnatural, and then you added that element of not wanting to bring any more harm to your baby. So you've found a way to balance that. And it sounds to me, you tell me if this is right, you found that through, your solid trust, but also looking for information, working hard at this.
Yes. And I will tell you, the information piece did not happen automatically. It took me about a good 3 weeks before I could feel like I had like my feet on the ground in the NICU. And what I mean by that is, it took first off, it took me 2 days post my son's birth for me to come into the NICU.
Say more.
After, so I had the emergency C-section, and it was me trying to make sure that I was okay, and also build up to coming into the NICU. That was a top concern of mine.
Mm.
My husband actually came to the NICU first.
Yeah. You mean when it was a like build up your like emotional bandwidth or strength?
I would say emotional bandwidth strength, mental strength,
Mm.
because for me as a mother, I do feel as my child's mom, it is my responsibility to stand strong when he is weak. And so I wanted to make sure that I could come in, and actually stand.
Yeah.
Now, in the beginning, me coming in standing, it looked like 15 minutes. In the beginning, the first 2 weeks, I couldn't spend more than 15 minutes in a visit in the NICU. So the pace and the information and the building up of me becoming strong and what I am today, again, it was a full on journey. And so 15 minutes. And then as I got my bearings, as I began to feel more comfortable in the NICU, as I became more aware, and as I started to heal just physically, um, I began to get stronger.
Mhm.
Um, And so one of the things I have to highlight in becoming stronger is like talking to the doctors and the nurses and hearing things that I never heard before. Oh, your son has a large PDA. Um, oh, he needs blood transfusions. Like all of these things that you typically hear within the world of preemies were not typical for us.
Right.
And so we found receiving a whole lot of information and kind of figuring out like, what does this mean? What do we do with that? How does look? What do we expect next? And so we talk to doctors, we talk to nurses, but there's a lot of information you get. So some nights we had to go home and we had to say, we have to just breathe for a little bit
Mm-hmm.
and then figure out what this was.
Yeah.
And that's where the NICU, the Nest Guidebook came in. So we would sit down with it at night, my husband and I, and we'd look through it. And we'd actually look through the ABCs of the NICU. We'd read and we say, okay, this is what, this is what a large pediatric is. This is what they said a PICU. PICU line.
Oh, that was a
Like
big line.
the big line.
Mm-hmm.
How's a PIC line? Okay, so I love the paragraph that was in the book. I'm like, because I could read it, I could really understand what it was. So it took a lot of education for us.
Yeah.
And the more we knew, that meant the next day I could come in and I could say, okay, he has his PIC line in. What is he getting through it?
Mm.
And what do those things do? Okay, he's getting his proteins, lipids, all these things. What does that mean? So I found myself, I told my husband, I said, I've become a medical secretary here. I mean, I have tons of notes. You see my phone now, like I have notes from for months now, just with all the notes on what does he have? What is he getting? What does it need? And I found myself, the more information that I had, and in terms of the more that I knew what was happening to him, I felt like I was becoming a member of the team. And it was not just me listening to what was happening, but I knew it. And because I knew what was going on, I could react to it, I could respond to it, and I could be a part of the conversation about what could the possible next best steps be. And I could also catch things that, probably would have been too early or too late.
Sure. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and so, for example, they say, "Oh, wait, okay, he's due for um this particular treatment on this day," and I could say, "Actually, it's been 7 days. I was told that it was going to be on this day. Are we still on track?" And then they go back and say, "Oh, actually, yes, let's get back on track." So I felt empowered being able to like stand and already like speak on behalf of my son. Like that is what truly gave me, um, I think, the fortification of my position here of his mom in the NICU.
Yeah.
Like I could actively participate. It didn't happen on day one, but as soon as I could like take the babysit that I needed to take and gather up my strength, like I could show up fully for him. And so that part to me is like a true success. And it wasn't just me, it was my husband.
Yeah.
We have a 10-year-old daughter, Chloe. And it's been most of the summer. And so she was here for the summer part of us, with us part of the time. And so she got to like, just be here with us. We could explain what was happening. She can actually come into the NICU, how that works. But it was a full family effort to make sure that we were taking care of Caleb in the way that we could, given our position as his family.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, today we're sitting on discharge day and I feel that I'm sitting before a mountain, right? Like this regal, glowing mountain. That's you. Like, oh, I'm an ass. You're the mountain. You're sitting like, there's a beautiful meditation, a mountain meditation about being still and, unwavered and being able to be calm despite the storm and glow in the sunlight. And I feel that I'm sitting before a mountain now. And I, what I'm hearing that I hope other people can hear eventually is that it sort of begins with some soil, right? And some rocks. And what I'm hearing is you're talking about layering and layering and layering and layering. And that's great for us to talk about and to say now, how did you manage to give yourself that grace? Because I know it's so overwhelming. How did you take those baby steps and take those baby bites and be okay when you didn't know? How does that work for for someone, because I know a lot of times we get frustrated, like, I don't understand it, so I'm not gonna try.
So I will tell you, um, one of the key things that I needed to make sure that I didn't do was to walk this journey alone.
Okay.
So that meant with each step that I could take, I was supported. With each step that I could not take, I was still supported. That was the benefit. And when I say I did not walk alone, that meant I had my family and we navigated this together.
Yep.
It meant that I regularly checked in with the doctors and the nurses, and we made sure we understood plans and what to expect. I made sure that I held on tight to ICU baby. Um, and like my parent mentor, Nicole, and seeing you here at the hospital. Um, and there's an ecosystem here, and the ecosystem is what actually helps make the mountain taller.
Yeah.
It makes the mountain grow bigger. And so as I was here on the days where things were too hard and where I could not like actively participate and I just had to receive and be overwhelmed,
Yeah.
that was okay. I could reach out. I had people I could call, whether it was Nicole, or I could touch base with you here, or I'd have my husband. Like there's just the ecosystem of people that are here to be able to uphold and to support. Um, that's the first thing. Another thing is there are a part of that ecosystem includes like the different hospital departments. So if I think of music therapy, yep, child life. If we're looking at speech therapy, I'm I'm the mom who had appointments with all of the specialists, and they would sit down with me and talk to me about, listen, we're going to nipple today. I'm going to show you how I do this. I'm going to show you what to look for in signs with Caleb. I'm going to teach positioning. It's music therapy. I'm going to show you how do you do the M&E therapy? How can you massage him and sing and just activate him? How can you support his development? So all of these things are mixed in with the NICU experience. It gives you a comprehensive experience firstly. You have support from different angles. And you're also being trained and supported on how do you take care of Caleb or how I take care of Caleb.
Yeah.
And so I could not fall because I wasn't alone.
Mm. Yeah.
So the mountain that you see, it's because the mountain had good soil underneath. There was grass and everything under was pushing it up.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's that. Yes, truly that.
It's spectacular. Um, to see it really. Um, and as we prepare, we just said, goodbye, go home to a friend here in the NICU.
Yeah, I'm all right. Right. I was like, today I've already cried.
Already crying. It's okay. And we're gonna do that for you soon here. Um, thinking a little bit about that transition to home. What were some things, um, processes or things that has been done well, to prepare you to go home?
So chapter 11 has, as I like to take it, I love it. Yeah, yes. Transitioning home. Some things that were done well. I would say, the first thing is I was provided with information through the guidebook because the transition home and what to expect didn't come as a surprise. So my family, we actually showed up saying, hey, so chapter 11 says that these are the things that should be happening, right? Can the car seat test, like all of these things, like can we? And so I had my little checklist and I said, great, let me know where we are with this.
Sure.
And of course, you're not going to get a specific date to go home when you first enter into chapter 11, transitioning home. But at least we knew what to expect. the doctor shared with us what was important for us to be able to see with Caleb and his health.
Right.
And so we knew that ultimately he would drive when we would actually go home. But we knew what we needed to do to prepare for it because we had the written resources and we could always check with the doctors and nurses to confirm. Right. And then Iris is a gold with Discharge. I've tapped her a few times. It's like,
Yeah.
Iris, can we talk about what's coming up?
Yeah, she's the discharge coordinator here at this hospital, and discharge nurse, and they are godsend because they get involved early too, right? You didn't just meet her today.
No.
Yeah.
Actually, I met her a while back and didn't know that she was the discharge nurse. And everybody kept saying, oh, yes, you'll meet with Iris. I kept saying, the discharge nurse? Who's that? And so once I saw her face, I was like, you're the discharge. She said, it's me. And I was like, I was so happy because there was already a bond established. Yeah. So yeah, it was great.
That's great. And what can be done better? What do you wish for? We can't go back and change something for you, but if we could go back and change it for somebody else, what do you think that would be?
Um, so I would say the biggest, I would say, shock to me is the transition that we make from the NICU A. So that's the highest care intensity.
Mm-hmm.
So Caleb spent a month, about a little over a month in NICU A, and then transitioned over to NICU B. So in NICU A, you have, daily contact with the doctors and fellows. You have constant information flowing at you. And so you're very well informed. When you get to B, the sentiment is that B is better,
Right.
and so those things calm down a bit.
Okay. So this is when Caleb doesn't need, maybe he's not motivated anymore.
Right.
He's stepping down.
Exactly.
Okay.
Stepping down. I think things can kind of get quiet.
Hmm.
And so because I like information, I want to see information, I want to know what the plan is for the week. I definitely take charge and say, okay, let me follow up to see who's the doctor on call this week? What is the plan for this week? And so I found myself making sure that, I reached out in the beginning and whoever the doctor was, as they changed, I'd make my initial phone call and say, hey, I'm Caleb, it's Mom, Christina. I definitely love for us to meet maybe twice a week or at least talk. Beginning of the week, end of the week to let's evaluate, see how things have gone. And that during the week, I can keep up with the nurses. But I definitely want to make sure I stay on top of the plan and kind of know how things are moving.
Yeah.
Because even when you get to a less intensive side of the NICU,
Mm-hmm.
there are still moments that you don't want to miss.
For sure.
So
Say more.
yeah, so if he transitioned on high flow, so he was on one of the lowest levels, or I would say most friendly machines for oxygen support. And so, when that comes off, I want to know, what are we expecting? What do we need to look for? And when is that going to happen?
Yeah.
Because I want to make sure that day we're here, we see everything and we welcome him to that next new stage. If we're going to actually bottle feed, I'm a huge advocate for breastfeeding. And I want to support that with my son. But I know in the NICU, we have to nipple as well to make sure he can suck, swallow, and do all the things that he needs to do.
Right.
So when it's that first bottle, let me know when that order goes in, because I definitely want to be able to be there and just say, this is my son's first moment doing this. So you can keep up with first and milestones, but you also know what the big plan is. So for me, it's the NICU A to B transition.
Yeah.
And how you have to be more proactive as a parent to make sure that you stay on top of what's going on with your child. For me, that's not an issue because I can do that.
Right.
However, I know that not all parents can do that. Not all parents are present because of other scenarios.
Right.
And so I think it's just as important to be able to set expectations for what NICU will look like.
Yeah, I think it's something that you've taught me about that transition. It sort of feels a little cliff-like, right? You have everybody's sort of managing for you, and then they're like, it's great news, but we're not going to talk to you much anymore. And I think I've taken that since you shared it with me and made sure that folks who aren't as comfortable advocating and stepping forward and being the driver of the engine, that we come up with a plan that we come up with a plan for them, that we help them, okay, if you can't be there physically, because that's true and honest, is let's call, every day, or let's set a time. And so the nurses come to know that the new routine for their baby are, and because it is very important that, um, if there's less news, it doesn't necessarily mean that you shouldn't be hearing about something. You should. There's a lot of great things happening every day, or little bumps in the road too. That if you're on top of it as a parent, you can make an impact and make a change. Certainly, like with feeding, if we little bumps, if we're not there to sort of catch them up and help them through it, we can get a bigger setback from it, as you know.
We had a bump last week.
Yeah.
So I'm actually not supposed to be here today. I am, but we were actually looking forward to bringing Caleb home last week. So if you're in chapter 11, this would be called a setback. And so Caleb had a setback during feeding. He had a Brady and a DSAT. It turns out that nothing major. He has some baby reflux, which is also in chapter 11. So read the book, truly, because it didn't become a surprise, because I said, oh, you know what? I read about that. I was hoping it didn't happen the day before discharge would happen.
Yeah.
So it set us back a week. But again, better for everything to happen here in the NICU than for us to bring Caleb home and then just kind of have to, holler and scream it out and do the things that we've learned in terms of like, all the padding and hopefully not having to get too, yes. And so he worked it out.
You worked it out with your help. And yeah, the book that Christina's mentioning is a book that we at ICU Baby give to our families, the My NICU Baby book. And that's, I really appreciate that you share about the setbacks, because they are so common, and the end of the time in the NICU is so hard, I think, because babies look pretty typical and everything seems to be going great, and we start to lower our guard a little and relax a little bit in a way towards going home, but we're also still holding on to this like, oh, any day, any moment. And so the setbacks can be a roller coaster of their own.
Yes.
You handled it really well.
I did. I had to go home and take a nap that day. Okay. I got a nap here.
Yeah.
And then I got up and I was like, okay, we're going to go back and start over tomorrow.
See, I love hearing you say that, Christina, because what you did there was you tended to yourself. And that's almost, it's very hard to do, right? There isn't much space. I was talking with our mentor team earlier, and we were talking about this even in just general life. Tending to yourself is really hard. And you taking that short nap, I'm sure you didn't sleep for 9 hours. That short nap allowed you to come back, allowed you to go, okay, reset. And I'm going to come back fresh, showing up the way I want to show up for Caleb. And so I commend your courage and your care. I mean, it's great love. It's how you care for Caleb even better, is to feel better yourself.
Yes. I learned that through one of the Nest videos. And so the self-care video.
Okay.
It's, I'm like, yes, I can do things for myself that help support me to show up here for Caleb. Like, that's important. And the nap was 4 hours.
Yeah. Yes, 4 hours. That is a restorative nap.
It is.
I love to hear that. That is good.
Yes, it was a good one.
Oh, you needed it.
I did. And the next morning I came back and I said, hello, everyone. Another week. Let's see how this goes.
Well, yeah. Yeah, that's there's something in this discharge phase that I want to remind you of, I guess, and it's a lot of our families, is you've made it to this day, and taking a moment. There's a lot of things to look back on, but if we just choose one thread of the millions of things that have been woven together over this time, is your I don't want to use the word resilience, but it is a resilience. It is an inner love, an inner strength to get through this time and to keep listening and growing and learning. And look how amazingly you all have shown up and done this. It tells me so much about, in the future, if ever you're faced with something that it challenges you, you can reach back into your beautiful backpack of life and say, I know I can do this because I've done it before, right? Just apply to something else. Um, you're you can do anything. This is what I see in most of my, all of our NICU mamas and dads when they leave. I think, gosh, you're unstoppable. You, without having to do it, you're the parents who could lift that car, right? And that's where you hold that within yourself forevermore, right? May you never have to use it, right? May you never have to go back and reach deep for the car lifting strength. But I know that if it was, coalescing before, that now you have it because you exercised it.
Yes. There's been a lot of exercise on that.
Yeah.
Um, and like we know, life happens. So at some point, we will have to use it.
Yeah. Maybe chill.
And just like now, we will not walk alone. God will be with us. We will have a community of support. And we will be hopeful for what will be to come.
That's beautiful. You said hopeful. What does hope mean to you?
Mm. For me, hope is a great expectation for what is to come. It has to be, it's not just the expectation part, it has to be great for me. Because I don't want to put in effort for something that will be minimal. I don't want to believe for that.
Mm.
I believe that Caleb is called to greatness. And so we will position ourselves in that way. We will show up for him in that way. And we will expect that. We are hopeful for our family and for his future. And that cannot be small. No, we have a great hope and a great expectation.
Christina, you are a gem, a true light in this world. And so too is Caleb. And I'm so grateful to you've shared of just a few moments here as we prepare to send you off to the next place. And as all of you out there who are listening, you're never alone. You're never alone. And you will always be part of the ICU baby community. Our families who are here, our Beyond the Beeps community, will always be part of that community. And we are great and you are large and you're strong. And we see everyone there. Do you have any words of wisdom for our family that may literally be sitting behind us here or out there in the world?
Yes. I'm going to look into the camera here. And for those listening online, as a parent, I want to share and just encourage you to not be afraid to show up and advocate for your baby. That is your right as a parent. You can ask all the questions that you need, how many ever times you need, for as long as you need. Get the understanding that you need. If you have requests, make the requests. And please do not walk alone. And what I mean by that is you have ICU baby. Your nurses should also walk with you. Your doctor should also walk with you. Child life will walk with you. So you have different groups that can come together and support you. Do not hesitate to reach out to them. That's what they are here for. And they can equip you and they can support your NICU journey. And so ICU baby, thank you for just actually allowing me to come and share more about my family and Caleb, but also ultimately for your support. Like this is me not walking alone. And that's actually why I can sit here. And so thank you. Thank you to the whole ICU baby org and team.
Yeah. It's truly an honor. It really is truly an honor.
As is mine.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. And if you're out there literally sitting behind us at your baby's bedside, or maybe you're listening on your headphones on your way in to visit your baby, or you're driving to work away from the hospital or pacing the hallway at night with your pumps attached.
That was me.
Yeah. There's a lot of different ways that we show up as parents in the NICU. Please remember this. We're with you. You are not alone. And we'll be with you next time here on Beyond the Beeps. Take gentle care, everyone.